What's good, everybody? What's going on?
Dude.
Mr. Stephen Paul's II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we're back for another episode of the Wright Quality Podcast with so much to talk about. Friends, co-host, please remind the people of who you are.
Ashley Wright the first, not 11.
Someone might go get you. Be careful. Black anime delegation. The delegation, let me pronounce that right. Stephen Guma, Roots King graduate. But no, it is Miguel Brown. He is I am him.
That sweater's cute. It looks like an animation of her, like the singer.
Oh,
it's really cute.
I gotta let him know. Yeah, it's on his website.
Yeah.
All right, shouts out.
Hey, give me my merch now. My money, Steven. I'm coming. Got you. About to pick up one more item, please. Next paycheck.
All right. We have debunked and broke down this rap beef, and now it is time to debunk and break down the first round of the 2024 NBA playoffs. While personally disappointing for me and Miguel, and we will get to that at some point in this recording. There's a lot of good things and a lot of fun things that happened in the first round as well. But the first thing I want to focus on, there are a lot of teams that have some big off seasons looming now that they have been eliminated from the playoffs. I think namely the Clippers, the Suns, the Sixers, the Bucks more or less, but they're in the conversation. The Warriors, yes, but their circumstances are a little bit different. Depending on how much you care about Sacramento, you could throw them in there too. But really, those first four, I feel like are the biggest stories of like, what are those teams going to do in the offseason to either one, stay relevant or kind of stay on the path they've been on, or are they going to do a complete reset? So we can start with the Clippers. So Clippers have been bounced in the first round. Once again, the Clippers have clipped and have been clipped and are now at home or in Cancun, whichever one they want to be. What do the Clippers do from here?
Entertain any and all offers for whomever. For me, if you're the Clippers, they want to re-sign Ty Lue, they want to re-sign Kawhi, they want to re-sign PG, they want to re-sign James. Where do you fix the problem? Is it your bench?
They've ran through every bench.
I don't think so.
Since the beginning of time. Like, they've had this core for what, 6 years?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
What's the core? Kawhi, PG, Zubac?
Kawhi and PG.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah, 5. Yep.
You got to pack it up.
Yeah, like when do you call it quits?
Ship PG for parts, because you're not going to get anything for Kawhi.
Do you still build around Kawhi though? At this point,
you cut out for me.
Do you still build around Kawhi at this point?
Do you build around PG?
I mean, you're building around Mr. Glass. Like yes. I know we're talking about Kawhi.
Do you want my honest opinion? I think you just pack it all up and admit that you lost that OKC trade horrendously. Like yes. That's probably how. You know what? Old Miguel, don't be so hyperbolic about your Timberwolves. I know Gobert was crazy at the time and you said it was the worst trade. This is the worst trade. I think that they lost out on a playoff picture and simultaneously gave another team an instantaneous window. No rebuild almost. Like OKC is gone rebuildless throughout these last, since KD has been there.
I mean, guess it depends.
It got dicey when Westbrook was at the helm. It got dicey when Chris Paul was there. But they even contended.
That little stretch. Yeah,
but they contended because Chris Paul's the GOAT. But I mean, we'll get to that on another podcast when it's the offseason, when he retires soon. But where was I going?
We were talking about Thunder, got the picks from the Clippers.
Clippers just got to pack it up. They just got to get what they can for it, because right now you're going to be losing. You have depreciating assets. You cannot sit on this. It's the last offseason before you can do anything with any of these guys before they say, hey, I think I'm going to be done. or I'm going to take a lesser role.
So I don't think it makes sense that the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers should max out PG. It's hard to argue that PG doesn't deserve one more last max contract. That's a really dicey conversation, in my opinion.
From a
different team. I don't think the Clippers should do it. Orlando. I also really do like Philly for PG though. But
don't give them ideas. Harold, don't watch this episode.
You don't like it?
No.
Why?
No, I don't. I feel
it's this perfect Robin opportunity.
It's a repeat of. Well, you would think that it was a perfect Robin opportunity with him and Kawhi, minus the injuries from Kawhi, but. And then, in my opinion, PG to Philly is the exact same as James going to Philly.
You think that? Yeah, they'd have to get rid of Maxey in that. No.
Yeah, I just don't see that happen.
Who? What are your assets?
PG. Well, if PG doesn't PG, might end up being a free agent if he opts out. So it won't have to be a trade. And I don't think that PG going is the same as James going, because with what Maxey just did and with where Embiid is, that's also another conversation. The Sixers really need to figure out. I don't want to. We can jump course. Sorry. Let's wrap up the Clippers.
I think PG stays because he loves LA.
I do too.
But the Clippers, if they do that, if the Clippers commit to Kawhi and PG further,
that's exactly how I feel.
Have they finished anywhere? Have they finished anywhere better than the 4 seed? I don't believe so.
They've sat in the 1 seed for a day.
But I'm saying in terms of playoff finish.
Blake Griffin.
What has their seed been?
We talk about with Kawhi and PG, man.
I'm saying that's the last time. I remember my Clips being great. Back when Chris Paul's at the helm, Jamal Crawford was 6 man. Oh, take me back. The dark horse to win the finals every year.
I just feel, I feel like, okay, if you're Paul George and Kawhi is out, there's no reason you should have 15 points in game 6 and 18 points in game 7. You had 33 in game 5. You need to build off of that. Those numbers are horrendous. They're the numbers of a role player. Tobias Harris can put that up. You know what I mean? So just
Tobias Harris can't put that up.
Right, he should be able to, but yeah, he had zero points in game 7.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Hey, he was hustling.
So I agree, Gail. I think the Clippers. I think it's time to move on. I think the Clippers actually have some relatively decent young talent but I think where the Clippers are now with that new arena, with it being LA, I just think the Clippers don't want to be in a rebuilding situation. So, which is tough, but at the same time, committing to Kawhi for another, Kawhi's 32 and he already has all these injuries. So how long, genuinely does Kawhi have left? Let alone him being able to play a healthy season and make it through the entire postseason. If you want to max out PG, sure, but you've seen what you're going to get from PG in the postseason when it matters, and that's not getting the job done. That's not getting you over the hump. So at what point do you say, what's the best I can get? And if I got to go through a couple years of figuring out and playing with the roster, but I get some pieces to get me something and make it worthwhile having a new stadium, make a run right now to try to be the best team in LA, because the Lakers are spiraling too, right? So figure if it was any time to take a risk, I don't think the Clippers have anything to lose at this point if they were to move on from that duo. I do agree with you, Ashley, though. I don't think that they will, because with Kawhi and PG both being from California, they don't have a reason to leave. And I feel like PG, as long as he gets maxed out, with a contract, he doesn't care. Right. Yeah. So he would stay. So I feel like, I don't know. They're in a tight spot. I do not know what they're going to do. I do know it doesn't seem that the Clippers want to max PG, and who knows what Harden's going to decide to do. But all these players are also at the tail end, really, of, if not their careers, definitely their peaks in their prime. So what are they committing to? But we did mention Philly. And Philly has some of the same questions, because you have the rise of Maxey, right? Which, I feel like a lot of us expected, especially once Harden left. But I think the Sixers have to make a decision on Embiid. And I am not a fan of them moving on necessarily. However, I do think it's a situation to monitor because Embiid is kind of similar to Kawhi at this point. We know what Embiid can be, but if he's not healthy, it doesn't matter. And maybe if they bring a third person in to help Maxey and Embiid doesn't have to do a lot, maybe, but I don't know. And if I was Philly this summer, I would not want him playing in the Olympics. If I was Philly, personally, because that man's not healthy. And if he's not going to get adequate rest this summer, like if you're going to play the Olympics and come right into training camp, if I was Philly, I don't know how I feel about that. Just given how the last 6 months went. But that's why I feel like Philly's in a bit of a pickle.
That's juicy. That's very juicy. That's a good point. I do feel like, yeah, I look at him with a side eye because it's like, okay, you were barely healthy for the playoffs. You're about to go to Vegas very soon.
Yeah.
And then you're heading to Paris to play and turn around and come to training camp. So I do agree with that. But however, I don't think it's time for them to take a long look at Joel. I feel like Joel has been in some situations where it just wasn't a good fit. They have not found a great fit for Joel Embiid yet. And
alongside him?
Alongside him, yes. And is that his fault? No, it's the front office's fault. I like your point, like at a certain point it will become a similar situation as PG. But I think with him being younger and having a lot more, like experience, I guess, that he could go through, then I think you give him that. It's difficult though. It's difficult because it honestly feels like that run and then that shot by Kawhi in Toronto was just Philly's peak. Because why is it so hard for Philly to attract stars?
Well, so that's a great point. So the Kawhi shot, I think, was the start of, in all honesty, Kawhi shot was the start of Philly's like descent into this space of like mediocre. Because, so mind you, everybody loved Jimmy. Like Jimmy being on that team with Joel, like that made sense. And the minute Philly decided that they were going to keep Tobias and not keep Jimmy, I think that said a lot. I think Philly also got screwed from the standpoint of they had put a lot of stock into Ben. And if Ben had been the player that a lot of us feel like he can be, we might be having different conversations. But because he didn't become that player, because he didn't show up as that player in the moments where it mattered, ultimately what they invested in Ben, they had to let go of too. And so that's why I do agree with your point that a lot of it isn't Embiid's fault, but they've been stuck because if you keep Jimmy and you get rid of Tobias, I think this situation looks different because what we've seen from Jimmy since his time in Philly matched with what we've seen Embiid do. I think them as a duo, regardless of what Ben was doing, would have been enough to get them over the hump, to at least get them to a conference finals. The fact that they haven't been to a conference finals is the real kicker, at least for Embiid's career, right? But it's tough because, like you said, that's a front office thing. Like, what do you do? So that is, and it's not Joel's fault. So I definitely agree. And it's hard because where Joel's at and with what he's accomplished individually, that talk is starting to happen now where it's like, okay, well, where's the postseason success? When Joel should have been in the Eastern Conference Finals already. It should have been Philly versus Milwaukee in 21. That should have happened. If they had called to travel on Kawhi, or if the shot don't fall in after hitting the rim 5-6 times, they're in another conference finals, ironically against Milwaukee again. So it's like they've been close, and the times they haven't got there haven't really been Embiid's fault. You know what I'm saying? So it's really tough, and it's not fair to put that all on Embiid, but I don't know. Like, they're going to have to figure something out. I think Nurse being there is great. I think they have some great pieces. I think Oubre is somebody they should retain for sure. you're going to have to find another backup or another Kyle Lowry type. I don't think that's a long-term answer, obviously. But Maxey gives you an eye into another window. You just got to figure out how you build in this team. But I don't know how they do that now. And I feel like they are still kind of stuck. So I feel like they're in a really, really sticky situation. But maybe there is something they can do. I don't know. But
something else that's dangerous though is Embiid playing with all of these superstars in pairs this summer. I
you think he'll want to
think
leave?
that it could be enticing. It could. That's what I think.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I agree. Gail, did you have any thoughts to add to the Philly situation?
No. I think that I don't know. I'd be inclined to look to move him just for the case that he is, I don't want to say perpetually injured, but he's a big that is injured more times than not. Not say that I mean, damn.
Are you prepared to rebuild if you're Philly? Because that's essentially what it's going to be if you ship Joel Embiid.
Around Maxey, sure. I mean, he's young enough. You can get enough pieces for Joel. You can get a hefty return for Joel.
You can, but you would just have to hope that it turns out like the Thunder. Or
I mean, is it better than where we're at now, where it's like the hope of a Eastern Conference Finals every year? Is that your goal, or do you want is swing, see if you can get what's better than what you have? Because I mean, like if only because like when we get to these times like in the year, it's like always a question like his gas tank or his healthiness. Like, excuse me, sorry, because like this last one, he wasn't as conditioned as he should have been coming off an injury. The year before, injured. No. I mean, like out of the last 10 years, what he's been injured probably
at least half.
Half.
Bare minimum half.
Like that's tough. You have to take a look at that because, like, as a center, how much longer is his lifespan? How big is the window before it shuts down? It's not like it's in the case of like a KD, like a bigger slider frame guy, even though he's coming off an Achilles ACL. Sorry, not ACL, but Achilles. Like, that's a question because it's a big guy with the foot thing, but it's like he moves differently. Like, Joel has a lot of weight he has to carry. And, granted, he's learned how to fall. Good for him, but it's just like, how much can that save him? So it's like they said they fixed his knee. If they believe that it's stronger than before, then, take a crack at it. But if it's looking like, you might not get him large parts of the year, you might as well see what you can get for him. Second best big in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a dicey situation. I don't know. I do think a lot will look different. I do think a lot will look different going into next season because I think a lot of teams they have no choice now but to start adjusting to the changing landscape of the NBA, given that there are younger teams that are now coming up and it's clearly their time and teams are now going to have to make decisions. Do we keep riding with this star? Do we just go ahead and pivot and figure out, what our next chapter is? So I think Philly's one of those teams. I think Phoenix is also one of those teams, and they are in a very, very they're not similar to the other two teams like Clippers or Sixers, but that payroll they have is ridiculous for their top three, and they're so top heavy that it's like, the biggest question for Phoenix is can they build a roster around that three, and do you want to?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of bread.
I think do you want to might be the better question. Is that a big three to build a roster around? You have three ball dominant players that in essence all kind of play the same position and do the same thing virtually speaking. So like, you have three scorers, like three bona fide scorers. And I think for them to do anything that's going to make sense and open up their championship window again, they're going to have to move one of them.
Oh, now?
Yeah.
There was no bench. Now?
How do you get one? You can't even pay for
You don't have any draft picks. Exactly.
Like, and with that being said, I highly doubt this happens. But if it was to happen for whatever reason, it would be poetic.
I see where you're going already.
He should leave.
I want to hear it come to fruition.
He should leave and go home. KD should leave. KD should leave and go home.
They're sitting on picks.
They're
sitting on a ton.
It makes sense. And at least what that does, right, is for Phoenix, it gives you time to say, okay, this big three didn't work. We're going to take a step back. We'll keep our two guards. Give us a year to figure out what we need to do with this roster. I don't think Phoenix is competing. Like, I don't think Phoenix is going to be contenders with this big three because they're stuck, because they can't put anything around them. So
honestly speaking, go ahead.
I was just gonna say they might as well cut their losses and just kind of. It might not be a full rebuild, but start the process of pivoting now, and before it's really, really too late, especially in the West.
I just feel like if you do ship one out of the three, it's not KD. Now that does make sense. I love what you said. I would love to see KD go back to OKC, and I would love to see what Phoenix can do with a few of those picks, because OKC is loaded with picks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I just don't think he's the one that you send away, and I don't think Book is the one you send away. However, what is Brad Beal's trade stock now?
Depends on where you send him.
He was injured for a lot of this season.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Now is not a good time to send him away. And with talks about Booker, potentially eyeing going to New York, maybe that's a little enticing of going and knocking on New York's door. Hey, but they don't have much to give either after Brunson. So,
yeah, you don't want to give up any of that.
Yeah,
I think New York is good with staying put. We'll get there.
They are, but
Book puts them here. Like,
who do you trade?
I would. You know what? I'm not saying they got to be straight up. I'll put Randall in that trade.
Oh,
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
It may not be straight up, but because I was gonna say I think New York might be better without Randall.
I do too.
So might as well. But also, so the only thing is, hypothetically, if you do make that trade in whatever capacity, and there's a swap where New York gets Book and Randall goes to Phoenix. It depends on who's all a part of the deal, right? Because as long as New York can keep their defensive identity, like we know Brunson ain't gonna be part of the deal, and as long as you're gonna keep Brunson. If you can keep Hart,
you have to keep all three Nova guys.
I don't think you keep Josh Hart. I do not think that's what they keep.
And that's why you don't do it. That's why you don't do the trade.
You think Phoenix gonna say Hart got to come as a part of it?
Absolutely.
Well,
I think they're sending McHale off.
One of the two is gonna have to be him or DiVincenzo. One of the two.
They can't do that.
And they can't.
Team chemistry goes.
Yes, it does.
Or unless New York, I don't know what New York's picks look like, right? But I think if they threw McBride in, right? Hear me. You go Randall. I'm not saying it's enough, but if Book wanted to get out enough, if Book was like, hey, I want to go, McBride, maybe some picks. I think if they can hang on to the three Nova guys and OG, even if they had to part with one of the bigs, either Hardenstein or Mitchell, if they had to, I think they could live with that because you can find another big to play with that core. Especially if you keep Mitchell or Hardenstein, like they could figure it out. So that to me would be like, I feel like that would be a fair trade-off. Because if you put Julius in Phoenix with KD and Beal, I like that meshed up a little bit better, or at least I think it has some potential. Got to see what it looked like, of course, on court, but has a little bit more potential. And I think Book in New York as another true scoring threat aside of Brunson, and you still got OG and you still got Hart and DiVincenzo, and you continue to kind of build that roster. I mean, they already scary as is. Like, so
no lie.
What, Gil?
All right, no,
Nah, come on now, because you're from Milwaukee.
What I miss? What? I just said you ain't got a
I
lot.
thought you were gonna. I thought you felt a little threatened by the what if.
What if what? Sorry, I missed that part now.
What if like Brooklyn's in New York and like New York's in the East, obviously. So like that would be a team the Bucks would have to go through.
I'm more afraid of their fans than anything.
I mean, that's also very true.
But yeah, all praise to New York. I got nothing but love for my New Yorkians.
Bing bong.
Shouts out, bing bong. Yep. Shouts out, Big Bronx.
No, but yeah,
BX all day. But whatever.
Yeah, figure that out.
Yeah, they do have to figure it out. They've got options though with the pieces, so that's the plus.
In terms of like that big three, you mean they have options if they wanted to do something?
If they wanted to ship somebody else, so James Jones will be. He got a lot to think about.
Yeah,
I don't Beal. I don't know.
It depends. His trade value depends on where he goes. It depends on how bad another team feels like they need Beal or they could use Beal, and what they feel like giving up for him. Because then what does
Beal for OG Anunoby?
No.
Boom. Trade done.
Everybody's happy. About to say.
Everybody's happy.
Miami was one of the teams that inquired about Beal. I feel like if you're not the Knicks, if you're the Suns, maybe you think about the idea of a Tyler Hero joining KD and Book. But I don't like that more than I like.
They need
I don't like that more than the Knicks. So.
I don't know if PG is available though.
If who?
Miguel, we're trying to be serious.
What did he say?
He said Terry Rozier. We're not doing this, okay?
Hey, LaMelo Ball for Bradley Beal, boom, point guard.
Hey, listen. Hey, you playing.
Right. And while you playing.
Hey.
While you're playing.
LaMelo there is crazy. I like it a lot.
I love it.
Actually.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. But I don't know. That's for Ishaba and James Jones to figure out. I really hope I said it right too. Okay.
We'll fast forward past that part.
Right. Okay. Last team that I feel like has major implications, obviously, are the Milwaukee Bucks. We're stuck too, though. So that's the interesting thing about Milwaukee, right? Like our core is intact, and I'm not extremely upset about that. But I feel like we're stuck in regards to building the roster around our core that we need, mostly because we need youth. And unless Doc is going to basically be like, yeah, let's actually play the young guys that we have.
I think that's the answer. Is that not it?
I do too. But it's
like just let the vets rub off their wiseness.
So question. Oh. I don't want to get too much into a conversation about Doc because it gets tiring, but how much of when he got the job, when he came to the team, how much could change with a full offseason for him to get his coaching staff, for him to know his roster and maybe build the roster that he wants, get a full summer, get an actual full training camp with that core. Will that make a difference for him, even if that also includes getting a chance to really see the young guys and get a feel for them before regular season? How much do y'all feel like that may change what he could potentially do with a rotation? And ultimately, is that the key? I know I've always been a fan of Marjon, right? A huge fan of Dre. I think AJ Green showed a lot of promise as well. Haven't seen too much of the two-way players, but those three alone are young bodies and two-way players, or could be two-way players, that just help shore up the rotation. You know what I'm saying? And so when you get in moments where your veterans are gassed, because our core they're all in their early 30s, you know what I'm saying? Like besides Giannis, but even with all the wear and tear on him, like that's starting to get a bit concerning. Do y'all think that's enough for them not to make any major changes to the roster and still be a legit championship contender come next season?
Okay. Sorry, I didn't go like this first. I usually go like that. But yeah, for us, I believe, like I said, have the old guys just be like, hey, I'm an old guy. I'm going to sit on the bench and tell you exactly what you need to be doing. because you are going to take our spots playing these crucial minutes. I think just play the hell out of Marjan, Ajax, and AJ as early as you can to build chemistry with guys so that we can have that spurt of, youth in our lineup so that these guys don't got to be running around the whole time. And then when they need to sub in, give them the Wes Matthews minutes or the, Jason Terry minutes, the Ersan Ilyasova minutes, like just that 15 to 20 of just like, good, solid charge taking and communication on the court. And I think that's really like the Jared Dudley minutes. You remember those? I felt so safe on defense when he was out there with us. But yeah, it's like we just need them to play in spurts, telling the young guys where to be, how to play, what the MO is, and I think we'll be fine. Like, let's draft Tyler Kolek at like 60, have him run our backup so we have an actual PG on our bench, and then, slowly have Giannis get a little bit more broad so he could play stretch 5 for us in the future, and I think we ride off into the sunset.
The sunset is crazy.
That's all I got.
But
simple fix, guys.
Yeah, I
keep Pat Bev. That's also it. Hey, now I like that fire.
I do also like the competitive.
Hey, on hip, duck lip.
Hey, listen. Okay, I'm a look.
He hit that though.
I'm a fan of the competitive spirit, right? Don't get me wrong. I've always been a fan of that, and because of Doc, I could see him signing another like 1-year deal. I could see it, right? So that part I don't really care too much about. We're already stuck because we don't have any draft picks left, really. We do have I think Pat's contract is up. Well, Pat Bev's contract is up. Crowder's contract is up. Thanasis' contract is up. Which also, if we don't just give Thanasis a staff role so we can actually go sign another player,
Wait, you stole what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that, but yeah, why don't we do that?
We might as well. That's what he's doing anyway. Respectfully. No,
I think he's got to get like a Purple Heart. He's got to go out there and dunk on someone so hard. He's like, dang, no, I can't do it anymore. I'm hurt. I'm a coach now. Do this for me, Giannis. He needs to have an honorable bow out.
I'm crying, but I think health in general still is a large part for the Bucks specifically. But I think that health comes from not running your vets into the ground during the regular season. That's why you let the young guys get those reps and get those minutes. So if nothing else, your vets are healthy for the postseason run. And if you do need to lean on the veteran experience come playoff time, at least they have the gas to do so. You know what I'm saying? And not that they gas from the regular season. So when you need them in the postseason, especially against, Indiana, where it's what you expect Dame and Pat Bev to do? They getting full court pressed for 48 minutes. We not ready for that. You know what I'm saying? But all in all, I think Giannis's health is paramount. I'm curious to see if he's going to end up playing in the Olympics, especially because I'm really curious on what exactly this injury is, because I felt like they were really, really hush about it. And I don't think it's an Achilles thing, but I think it was a lot more serious than they tried to let on. I mean, especially seeing that he did not play. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's even a bit more serious and somewhat concerning for that reason as well. But yeah. But other than that, until some moves are made, there's not too much to be said. But I think that they definitely just, in whatever ways they can shore up the roster this offseason, they should. I don't know exactly what that looks like. I don't think we need to bring everybody back. You know what I'm saying? But
Give me Avery Bradley.
Miguel, I need you to be serious. Anyway, we're gonna move on.
Viable two-way guy, still solid wherever he's at.
I was gonna say, where is he even?
No, I don't know. I don't, but he might still be playing somewhere overseas. Maybe.
See, valuable discourse.
Okay, so from round one,
that's the title of the pod. Sorry, where is Avery Bradley?
I thought you were talking about valuable discourse.
Same, Ashley. Anyway.
Which is actually a good title.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, just when we were going to give you credit, man. Anyway.
Hey, that's what I meant.
Nah, it's okay.
No.
Last but not least, it is finally time. And Miguel, we have given you your credit. You have been talking about this all season.
Jaden McDaniels, man, great player.
Shout out, baby.
Outscored the big three, Phoenix, after I said that, the best, right?
No, but great shout out to him. Anthony Edwards is here. Undoubtedly here. Like, if somebody's gonna try to throw him in their top 5 after this, like, given the postseason run he already seems to be on, right? Let alone, don't let him get to the conference finals. Don't let him get to the finals. Don't let him get a championship. And he's putting up the numbers he's putting up. I ain't saying that's what's gonna happen, but I'm also not saying that it's far-fetched if it do. So he's here though. He's here, and at not even talking about the MJ comparisons, like not even like in a very serious like and way, like he is stamping himself as the guy. Like, he has it all, he does it all, and the leadership that he is showing is, I don't think we have seen, I don't want to say we haven't seen a rise like this, but I think the way that Ant has arrived, and that's why I talk about Gail, Ant has always been impressive, and Ant has always kind of like stood out. But after it started with FIBA. Don't get me wrong, it started with FIBA. When he took that and brought that into this season and then did what he did and what he's doing now, that stretch is where I'm kind of like, I don't know if we've seen that quick type of turn of success kind of solely centered around one individual for a team. I don't know if we've seen something happen this quick in a long time. And he's just continuously stamping himself as like, no, I'm here. You put him up against anybody, he's showing up. Like, KD's his favorite player, knocked him off. Like, he knocked the defending champs off. We gonna really have to talk about something. If he go knock off either Shea, another young guard, MVP candidate who people are talking about, or he go and knock off Luka, another MVP candidate, another like top player in the league, top 5 player in the league. If he does it, like he's already challenging them, right? If he does it at 22, and he still has a ceiling to reach, like he's nowhere near his final form yet. That's the scariest part of what he's doing. The arrival of Ant is something that's going to be the conversation of the summer, regardless of where the Timberwolves finish. But just thoughts on Ant's arrival in this sense of like him really kind of being the undoubted, next face of the league in a lot of people's mind.
What's this, year 4? Was he 2020?
He was, I think so.
Yeah, because this was a virtual draft.
Yep.
My thoughts. Oh man, you are absolutely correct. It's hard to wrap my mind around the fact that it's been 4 short years for this guy, and he's playing like a 8-year vet. Like, he is balling. And honestly, I think it's the fearlessness that he approaches the game with. He comes to the game like as himself. Like, when you get AE, you're getting AE. Like, he's not trying to be anybody else. He's letting you know, like, I'm a dog and I'm going to show it. Like, the way he was chirping at KD, I loved it. He was able to back it up. Like, it was beautiful. He's bringing like poetic basketball back. You know what I mean? And I really like to see it. I love that Anthony Edwards is just like unapologetic. He's being himself. And the way that he's leading his team, Steve, the link that you sent us earlier, I watched from Instagram. Man, like, I was looking at it, I'm like, this little guy is that's talking
not a
like that?
Yeah, that's not a 4-year player. Like, a 4-year player shouldn't be talking like that.
At all. And it's like, he talks in a way where even if you're a vet, you have no choice but to listen. Like, he literally is pouring into his teammates. And it's veterans, like I said, that have been in the league for 8 years that can't do that. Like, you can't teach what Anthony Edwards is showing us. That's my point. You cannot teach that.
Or, Gail, this is your victory lap, man. Go ahead and take your victory lap, man.
Oh my
I
gosh.
hate this man so much.
I knew he was gonna come from the other side.
Step over his cord. Don't knock the mic off. See the fit. Keep game. Wow. Y'all are here. Y'all made it with me. Y'all, I was talking about this last time.
I was never not here. I was never not here.
Hey man, welcome to the pod. Next player I'm gonna talk about is Victor Wembanyama. I'm gonna learn how to pronounce his name right so I can get that straight. But he's next up. Eye test. Scouts call me. My thesis has been proven correct. When we were talking about that USA ball, I was like, there's just something about coming from playing the world and seeing where you're at comp-wise that like some guys just come back and they have that boost in stats. I took the season over on Anthony Edwards over averaging 26 points a game because I saw this jump coming. Albeit mathematically was off by a singular point. I saw it coming. Albeit that 1 point could be 1 point. He on average, mathematical average that my teacher would have taught me, he is averaging 26 a game at age 22, leading his team to a virtual number 1 seed in the entire league. He just has that factor. Like when I was watching his games this summer, you could just tell that he was just physically there. He was mentally like okay to take that driver's seat position. He didn't care that he had it. He oozes that he is the man. Like since he's walked in, he said, fourth, fifth hitter, straight cleanup. Like we know the quotes. You could drop him on a hockey rink, and he's about to score the most goals. He's about to put him in a golfing machine. He's about to out golf everybody. He's just a winner, and like I think that's what makes him like him is that he just wants to win, and whatever it takes, however he has to treat somebody, however he has to talk to somebody, he's going to do that so that he can get them in position so he could be the best and win, whatever it is. If he has to tell Cat to stop fouling, he's going to tell Cat to stop fouling. Like, whatever it may be that the team needs, he's going to be like, hey, like, let's get this together. Like, the way they talk to each other is just adorable, too. They call Coach Finchy. I'm like, that's adorable. That's like, there's such camaraderie. They all like genuinely like each other after Kyle Anderson punches or gets punched by Rudy Gobert last year. Like the fact that they could make this happen after it looked like that trade had gone down, the spiral, it's pretty cool to see. And at the helm of it all, like, not to say I'm gonna move back, but I might be there at some games. I might pop up to Alex's crib and be like, I'm foraging for a ticket. Get us our credentials immediately. We have until June.
Yeah. No, and the Timberwolves just have a great team construction right now as well. Like you said, Gail, like the trade is seeming to pay off. And I mean, between like you have Ant, Cat is doing Cat's job, right?
Yes.
Having Nas Reed as a backup to that is huge plus. Didn't realize he was as young as he was either.
His name is Nas, I know, right? Nas Reed, that's an old name. And there's names. Gordon Hayward was 40 before he even chose to be 40.
Oh, okay.
Who's named Gordon Hayward? He's his age now.
That's his family name. What's he supposed to do, man?
They aged him. 40 years.
Gordon doesn't feel too old.
Who's the last Gordon that we know? Besides Gordon Ramsay. Like a 50-year-old Brit.
Yikes. That's a great point. Touche.
Well, are we doing any guesses of players? Or are we doing any?
Yes, we're doing a guess the team.
Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay, so I want y'all to think playoffs, play-in included.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, point guard, 6'1".
Chicago Bulls.
Shooting guard, 6'5". Small forward, 6'8". Wait, I'm sorry. Who did I say?
6'1", 6'5", 6'8".
No. Point guard, 6'1". Shooting guard, 6'5". Small forward, 6'5". Power, 6'8". Center, 6'10". Now, this is a small forward who got pushed to the 4. I'll give you that as a hint. Playoff teams, play-in teams included.
New York? No, Hardenstein or Mitchell. Yeah, that might.
Who?
What's throwing you off?
Honestly, the point
Guarded for the Pelicans, but it wasn't Jose Alvarado, so it wouldn't be him. It was like CJ McCollum.
I mean, CJ is the lead guard, I think.
He's 6'5".
Yeah, they don't start Jose.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm just 6'1".
Miguel, you got to catch up too. I think Steve guessed the last 2.
I did. I am up for the record. Just so.
Mhm.
See.
And I didn't say it before you gave everything?
Did you say no? Who did you say though?
I said the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I was like,
Atlanta?
Yes.
They were like the last team I thought about, but I'm like, I guess that would track Trey, DeJounte.
Yeah.
I said it in my head like 5 times. I just didn't want to say it because I'm like,
the other 6'5" is Bogdan. What's his last name?
Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
So I said it in my head. I just didn't want to say it. So I think I got that one. But shouts out to you, Qualls. You got that one. Put
DeAndre
that
Hunter
match
is the
on there.
one that got slid to the 4.
That tracks. Because in it, so Capella's 6'10"?
Yep. He seems a lot taller, right?
Yeah, I definitely would have thought he was 7 foot at least.
So I was going by the last lineups that they had. Were any of them playing?
This was their play-in lineup.
That makes sense.
Tracks. They're playing some no names at the end of the season. That's all I was like. Whatever that other man's name was, they had a Miocic or they had some down there. I was like, all right. They're at that Portland stage 2 years ago.
Yikes.
One of them. Well,
catch up, bro.
I said it in my head, like I said. I just didn't want to say it. I felt cheap. So I know Trey's 6'1", but it is like, does it need to be said?
Talk about doesn't need to be said.
I don't want to acknowledge them.
Crying.
Oh man.
Anyways, I'll get the next one. Don't worry. I got something to look forward to next time.
You gotta get the next one. He's about to sweep you. This is a best of 7.
I'm about to be the first ever to reverse sweep him.
Reverse sweep is crazy. Nonetheless, until then and until next time, we'll catch y'all on the next episode.